Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Kindly bear with me because there are noises in the background. Pupils are back home for the midterm holidays that is going for a week or so, and that is why we have those kind of noises. Raila Amolo Odinga has always been described as enigma. Where he comes from, they call him Agwambo. Agwambo is something that you cannot describe. You can't just describe Raila. Anytime you think that you have cornered him politically, anytime you think that you have annihilated him politically, Raila will always metamorphose into something else. And when he begins an idea, when he initiates an idea, it will become a force to reckon with. He has done it to the late president Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. He did it to the late president Mwai Kibaki. Of course, his handshake brother Uhuru Kenyatta understands him well. The only person who is yet to understand Raila is William Samoei Ruto. They have worked together, but he keeps on underestimating Raila Amolo Odinga. A few months ago, when Raila went to South Africa and came back, he was breathing fire, and he piled pressure that William Ruto must vacate office. It is like he took a low profile and people began asking whether he had decided to abandon the cause. And the cause here is freedom for emancipation that he believes we have not achieved. Today, just to summarize, Raila Odinga jetted in from Poland, and he has taken a complete paradigm shift. He has even tightened it further, because there is an announcement that was made. The youths who are born in 2000 might not understand, except those who have gone into the archives and dug deep what really happened today. Because Raila, through Eugene Wamalwa, representing the Azimio family, announced that on 7th of July, they will meet on Kamkunji grounds to chart the way forward and see how to deal with this oppressive regime.
We the people, Semeni, we the people, we the people, we the people, we the people shall convene on the 7th day of July, Sabasaba Day 2023, which event will unveil a program for nationwide civil disobedience to force the Kenya regime home.
At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to look at this article here. Sabasaba, the start of a journey that is yet to be completed. Because after that pronouncement, I went on a search spree. I was just trying to dig deep, because as I said, there are youths who do not know what Sabasaba means. In fact, to them, that pronouncement means nothing to them. But then we need to really explain, because these forums that we have need to be very educative. These are the forums that we can always use to pass such information from one generation to the other. Just ask your child if she or he was born in the year 2000, during that period, if they understand what Sabasaba means. And there is something that I want us to unmask so that they know. And why this announcement has sent fears within the corridors of power. In fact, from today, William Ruto will not sleep. 30 years ago, in 1990, that was July 7th, a movement was formed. And this movement was called Sabasaba. This movement was an outfit that many have described that Saba Saba was a spirit. And it brought together the progressive nationalist elements and even the younger generation that were fighting for the democratic space. People like Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Martin Shikuku, Matiba, Raila Amolo Odinga, people like Anyona, people like James Orengo, there were several of them, decided that enough is enough. Because people had suffered under the oppressive regime of the Nyayo era. And they decided that we can't keep quiet. And I was reading that it was not only Kenya, that the globe was suffering under the oppressive regime of either the Western capitalism or the Eastern and the Soviet socialism. It only depended that which power you belonged to. This is the period we had Mobutu Sese Seko, the dictator from Congo, Idi Amin in Uganda. And it was very oppressive. And I was reading that all over the world, nations like Chile, Romania, everywhere, men and women were wondering what to do. So Kenya was in the mix, and in each country tackled their oppression in their own unique way. And Kenya decided to birth, it was the birth of a movement that was later to emancipate Kenya from the oppressive one-party regime, the Nyayo. And in 1991, it succeeded because Moi repealed Section 2A, and we went back to the multi-party democracy. People died, people shed blood, people were injured, people were determined. And so why is it so important? What is the significance of Saba Saba in the current struggle? That is the reason why I gave you this article, that Saba Saba is the start of a journey that is yet to be completed. It is not yet complete, because those who are fighting for the regime, for the freedom of our nation, some have died, some are either of age and they are in their twilight days. Look at people like James Orengo, they have struggled. He's now the governor of Siaya. Looking at his age, they are only trying, but they now need to pass this to the younger generations. Is there any significance, and is it something that should worry William Ruto? Yes, I'll tell you for free. Because there was a connotation of unity. People came together and they were running battles in the same ground, in the Kamkunji ground. People were wiped in tear gas, but they never gave up. There was an enduring spirit and a strength of purpose. People just came together without being forced. And so Raila Amolo Odinga wants to take people back there. And why? Because we are in the same place where we were before. Because nations like the USA and the USSR had their own champions, people they had, installed on us. The same thing that has happened today, that we have a regime that has been installed from the USA. And people were suffering. The regime thought that there is nothing that could happen. The youths like Orengo led these demonstrations. Just the same way youths of today, people like Nuru Okanga and many other youths, are trying to lead the way forward. Because truth be told, people like Raila Amolo Odinga are now a bit tired, and they need to get youths behind them. And this is why when we talk about the Saba Saba, it is something that is sending chills down the spine of this regime. When people went to the Kamkunji for that first rally, the Saba Saba, it was the beginning of a long journey. But one thing that is clear, that is that they succeeded. They never failed in it. And so Raila Amolo Odinga is mentioning the Saba Saba And the Azimio fraternity is mentioning the Sabasaba because in Sabasaba people don't fail. People don't give up. People confronted the police, like I said, running battles with the police, and we have seen that. The Azimio fraternity believes that this is a journey that we are yet to complete, and Raila believes that this must be completed in our generation. That is one thing that Raila believes, that it is now or never. And the good thing is that the government has given people a reason to go to the streets, to go for the Sabasaba. Hunger is killing us. Unemployment. We have an oppressive regime that will not listen to the cries of his people. It reminds me of the biblical Israelites crying under the oppressive, cruel hands of Pharaoh, until Moses went to emancipate them, to liberate them. Unfortunately, he never reached Canaan, but Canaan they reached anyway, with Joshua and Caleb leading the way. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with this simple pronouncement about Sabasaba, I can assure you that things will not be the same again. Raila is revolving, recycling, and reminding people of the then days, the dark days. That is why it's called the dark days. In fact, what we have today cannot be compared to what was happening then. There was no social media. People could not gather. I understand that ile kitu tunaita mwa Kenya, mngepatikana mkikaa hapo watu watano na mnachukuliwa, detention without trial. People like Raila Amolo Odinga went there for over 9 years cumulatively. Koigi Wamwere, and they could not sit back and watch. At least we have social media we can share today. People like Anyona and people like Orengo fought for us. Today you can even have a forum like this and you can talk and condemn actions of a government. Back then you could not. People went missing. On the roads people were hit head on and they just died. What we have today cannot be compared to what was witnessed then. And this is why the Azimio is now calling upon the youth to go down out on the streets to fight. And in fact, William Ruto will not sit back. He will try everything. I just announced and analyzed earlier that he is inviting Raila for talks. But Raila has rejected, the Azimio rejected it during their campaign, their rally today. They said it is time for action, it is not time for talks. And this is what I'm telling you, especially if you are a youth and you are watching this channel, just go back to the archives. Just go and research and find out what happened during the Sabasaba. Because it was just the beginning. Just like today was the beginning, and even the bigger beginning is coming on 7th of next month of July. And the return to Sabasaba is something that you will see being discussed even in the mainstream media. And this is what I'm telling you, that William Ruto is not taking this very lightly. Because I want to repeat, in Sabasaba, people have always succeeded. In Sabasaba, like we are beginning Sabasaba today, we must succeed. I remember Martin Luther King Jr. during his address to the people, they sang, "We shall overcome." And on this platform, I want to say that we shall overcome. When people come together, ladies and gentlemen, we must overcome. When people decide to go out, when people decide that they are not going to be divided along party lines, along tribal lines, we shall overcome. Ladies and gentlemen, with the beginning of the Sabasaba, we must overcome. And if you believe that we must overcome, just share with me in the comment section that we must and we shall overcome.